So now I'm going to pare a piece of leather. After you've sharpened your blade, you should always test that out on a scrap piece of leather before starting paring the piece that you need for your leather mosaic. So let's test this out here. Oh, that looks pretty good. Even though I wasn't supposed to sharpen this one, it still cuts pretty nice. Okay, so I'll just warm up a bit here and take some of it off and get ready for the actual piece. Oh, pretty good, ça va bien. Yeah, it's cutting nice. Okay, so I'm gonna do one piece completely so that you see how it has to be done, what you need to do to make a leather mosaic. So let's go at this. So from the start, I hold my piece of leather with my left hand because I'm right-handed. I hold it this way, and I keep my piece along the edge of the stone here, and I go around the piece of leather. I always go around the piece of leather from start to end, actually. You might notice that I have long fingernails on my index and thumbs. This is going to be very useful when I start making the leather mosaic. It's like a tool. So these 4 fingers, if you can let the fingernails grow, it would be a good idea for you eventually when you start to do the leather mosaic. So we go on with the paring. So I went all around, then I start going around, taking a first layer of the back of the skin off first. Never try to go to the finishing of the paring right off the start. You have to go, or I go in two, how could I say, deux passes, Sylvain. Comment on dirait ça en anglais?
Two shots.
In 2 shots? Okay. So I pare the leather in 2 shots. I take off a first layer, and then I go for the finishing layer to make it very nice and thin. Because the 2 movements or the way to do it is a bit different from taking off the first layer of the skin and the finishing of the skin. So the first movement, the movement actually that I do is sideways to cut into the skin and going back up to make sure I don't go through the skin and cut it. So it's like that. That is the main movement. Now when I work holding the leather like this, because there's 2 ways that I hold the leather. One is like this to go around, and the other one will be like this for the finishing touch when I show you later. But one way or the other, you always have to try and make sure that the skin is not sticking up. So when I do this, I press on the leather. I press down so that it stays flat where I'm cutting. So I go like this, I go back up, and while I'm pressing down at the same time. And that's how it goes for the first. That's the movement for the first. For the first going around it. So I go around it, around and around, and sometimes I can go for a finishing a bit on the edge. It's always good to thin out the edge because it makes it easier to dig inside. There we go. Maybe I took too much of a big piece here. I don't know. Anyway, so we'll keep going. So that's the movement. What else can I say? Well, as you can see, I always work against the edge, right at the edge of the stone. I don't work in the middle of the stone. So that way, my hand is even with the surface of the stone, and my blade can be down at as low profile as possible, which help not to cut through the skin. Always trying to be careful that you don't get scrap leather like this under here, because then for sure you're going to make a hole when you put your blade on it. So every now and then I check to make sure that there's no pieces under my skin. Oh, that was close. You see, I wasn't careful. I came very close to going through the skin here. Always got to be very careful. Of course, when I do this type of work, normally I'm all alone in my studio and I don't talk. I'm concentrated on my work. So, and I listen to music and while I pare the leather. It's something that I enjoy doing, and it's a skill that, I don't know, it's something different. It's a little bit, I would say, like carving in wood, maybe making a wood sculpture. So leather paring has to do with this. And as you can see, my blade is cutting pretty nicely. I'm happy of that. Sometimes it gets dull faster than it is today. So I'm gonna, when I get like for this size of a piece, now I'm starting to be a little tight. I don't like holding my leather like this. I'm too far from the edge. So now I'm gonna start working, holding my piece of leather against the edge of the stone like this, and I try to make it as tight as possible by pushing both ways with those fingers there, and that way my piece of skin is nice and flat against the stone. Okay, so I can start working this way. There we go. Hey, up. I don't want to take too much time doing this, but yeah, it takes the time, you know, even if it's a small piece. If you don't want to cut through it, you have to take the time to do it. Yeah. So there we go, we got a first layer off. So now I can start working with the finishing of the paring. And there you have to, well, what is the difference? I guess I don't press on the blade as much as I did for the first layer to take off. I put less pressure, and the movement is the same, but it's just that now I hold the skin like that as much as possible. I try to make sure that I don't cut my finger, because well, here we're lucky, we have a red skin, so it wouldn't show that much if I bleed, but better not. By the way, I should mention that the best leather there is for paring and for leather mosaic is English Morocco hand-grained goat skin. This is what I'm working on right now. It's this, for me, it is the most beautiful leather for doing the leather mosaic, like in the Blanchet-Saint-Jean technique. It's nice to pare. It's easy to pare. It's not like veal skin or cow skin or any other type of skin is I find much more difficult to pare than the English Morocco. So it's a pleasure to work with English Morocco, and of course the finishing of the skin itself. The colors are nice, and you'll see when I start the other videos and I start doing a mosaic, and there's a certain there's a certain process in doing the leather mosaic where you'll see why this is the best leather in the world. I'll explain that eventually. So, do we still have a little time? 2 minutes, okay. I won't have time to finish this off right now today, but we'll keep filming another day. Voila. So you finish it all off this way to the end. I'll keep this piece and we can finish it off when you come back, Sylvain. Thank you, my friend.